Nevada HOA reserve study requirements catch many board members off guard, especially those who step into the role expecting it to be mostly about approving landscapes or responding to homeowner complaints. But here's the real starting point. In Nevada, reserve studies are required for many common interest communities. That requirement lives in what's known as the NRS Chapter 116. Which governs how HOAs and condo associations plan, fund, and disclose long-term repair obligations. When I first spent time in Nevada, I thought of it the way a lot of people do. Vegas, open desert, maybe some incredible hiking. What didn't register to me at first was just how many HOA and condo communities stretch across the state. Once you start driving outside of the Strip or even Reno proper, it feels like seas of planned communities, master plan developments, and multi-phase condo projects. With that density comes responsibility, and Nevada law indicates that reality. So this video explains what Nevada requires, how those requirements apply to both HOAs and condo associations, and why reserve planning matters even more in fast-growing, high-turnover states like Nevada. My name is Joe Braun and I'm the founder of Solume, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's dive into it. So what are Nevada's HOA reserve study requirements? Nevada's reserve study framework is governed by what's known as the Nevada Revised Statutes. That's the NRS Chapter 116, which applies to common interest communities. This includes both HOAs and condo associations with specific provisions addressing reserve studies, budgets, and disclosures. So an HOA reserve study is essentially a long-term planning tool intended to identify major community components, estimate the remaining useful life, and determine the cost of repair or replacement, and calculate how much money must be set aside over time. To put it clearly, it's a financial and a practical necessity. So a traditional reserve study typically includes a site inspection, reserve analysis, and a reserve funding plan that spans multiple fiscal years, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years. While a reserve study specialist may not catch everything, it should be pretty comprehensive, at least enough to plan confidently for the future. The goal is predictability, to kind of see what's coming up. A reserve specialist or a reserve study company evaluates three broad categories that shape long-term risk. Structural components include items that affect the physical safety and stability of buildings such as foundations, load-bearing walls, roofs, balconies, even parking garages. Common elements include shared assets like pools, parking areas, clubhouses, elevators, and even shared utilities. Other major systems include electrical system, fire protection systems, mechanical equipment, and pavement. Together, these categories create a roadmap for reserve planning and capital expenditures rather than just a static checklist that, hopefully somebody's keeping track of. So what are the reserve requirements under Nevada Revised Statutes? Under NRS, specifically NRS 116.3115, many Nevada communities are required to conduct a reserve study and include reserve funding as part of the association's budgets. Boards are expected to review reserves annually and update reserve studies on a regular cycle. That statute applies broadly to common interest communities, but some details vary based on whether the association is a condo association or a planned community like an HOA. The distinction matters, but it doesn't eliminate the underlying obligation to plan responsibly. Nevada law also places emphasis on budgets and reserve disclosures. Associations must provide homeowners with clear information about reserve balances, funding plans, and projected expenses. This is where many boards struggle, not because they're unwilling, but because they just don't have the right tools to handle all of that. Solume helps boards meet these disclosure requirements by tying budgets, reserve studies, and ongoing reserve tracking together all in one system. As a reserve study software, Solume allows boards and managers to maintain compliance without juggling spreadsheets, a bunch of PDFs, and just disconnected accounting tools. So why are reserve studies crucial for Nevada HOAs? Nevada communities face a mixture of environmental and even organizational challenges that make reserve studies especially important. Extreme heat, temperature swings, and intense sun exposure accelerate wear and tear on roofs, pavement, and mechanical systems. At the same time, Nevada's rapid development boom means many communities were built right around the same time or the same era and are all now aging together, creating overlapping waves of major repairs that boards must plan for. And just as an important factor is board turnover. In fast-growing Nevada communities, volunteers often step into board roles without deep experience in HOA governance or even state law. Reserve studies provide structure and continuity when leadership changes. A structural integrity reserve study helps boards anticipate major repairs before they become emergencies. Deferred maintenance expense grows quietly until the costs spike, and when that happens, property values are often the first casualty. As maintenance is delayed, communities begin to look and feel neglected. You know what I mean. Buyers notice, appraisers notice, and lenders notice. In extreme cases, poorly managed or underfunded associations can find themselves flagged by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, making units in the community ineligible for conventional financing. And when buyers cannot obtain mortgages, demand drops, price softens, and the financial impact spreads far beyond the original repair that was postponed. Basically, if a community is neglected over time, lenders will actually stop lending into the community, which causes the prices to fall because the only people that are qualified to buy them are ones that can bring cash offers or really unconventional loans. Special assessments are often the result of underfunded reserves, not bad intentions. Strong reserve planning supports financial health by aligning reserve contributions with the annual budget and spreading costs across each fiscal year. This approach reduces financial shock and improves long-term stability for homeowners. Imagine you can either, hit everybody with a $10,000 special assessment once, or you can spread that cost out over multiple years. So what are the key elements of a Nevada HOA reserve study? The first is inspections and reserve analysis. A professional reserve study begins with a site inspection and a visual inspection of common area components. The reserve specialist evaluates the condition that it's currently in, the remaining useful life, essentially how many years they think is left on that particular thing, and an estimated replacement cost. Reserve analysis then translates those findings into a reserve funding plan that supports capital expenditures over time. That turns the reserve study into an active financial planning tool instead of a document that just kind of sits somewhere. So what are the important reserve items and common elements? In Nevada, just like many other states, reserve items often include pavement resurfacing, roofing systems, pools, fire protection systems, and building exteriors. Electrical systems and mechanical equipment are also a major component, especially in larger multi-phase communities. These obligations require disciplined reserve planning and consistent reserve study updates. So there's a few best practices for HOA reserve planning in Nevada. Number one is working with a professional. Hiring a licensed engineer or a professional reserve company improves accuracy and credibility. Property managers rely on reserve studies to coordinate maintenance plans and manage major repairs and support association reserves responsibly. Regular reserve study updates allow boards to adjust for raising costs, climate impacts, and completed projects while upholding legal compliance. I know that's a mouthful, but there's a lot that goes into following these plans. As you know, board members carry fiduciary responsibility, whether they serve on a condo association or an HOA. Candid communication helps homeowners understand why reserve contributions matter, Rather than just burying it in the budget somewhere and increasing the dues, let them know that the reason dues are going up is because these repairs are going to cost us this much money in 5 years. Some reserve decisions may require a majority vote under governing documents, so you got to read your own governing documents. Boards should seek legal advice when needed, but strong systems reduce just the uncertainty of what's coming up. Many Nevada communities are professionally managed, and sometimes that means that data is hard to get out of the property management company. Communities increasingly expect access to the same information their property managers see. Think about this. You have a company that is supposed to manage your community, but it takes them 2 months to generate a simple report that literally is just pushing a button. That's why so many communities are opting to have a digital record that they own and they access, something that's contained within their community that everyone on the board is able to access. This is where our all-in-one management and reserve study software plays a critical role, even for communities that are professionally managed. Solume allows boards and managers to work from the same system, creating transparency instead of dependence. Reserve data stays with the community even if the management companies change. While Nevada's reserve study requirements are clear under NRS 116, it's worth noting that reserve study laws vary widely across the country. States like California, Colorado, Florida, and Washington State have adopted more prescriptive rules, while others rely heavily on disclosure standards and fiduciary expectations. Boards that compare communities across state lines often find that understanding how Nevada fits into the broader national landscape helps clarify why reserve planning has become a baseline expectation, not an optional best practice. On our website, we maintain a separate guide that outlines reserve study requirements by state for boards who want to see a clearer national picture. Solume was built to help boards and property managers meet these challenges. It is the only all-in-one platform that combines reserve study management, ongoing reserve tracking, AI-driven compliance guidance, and vendor coordination. If your board is already responsible for protecting the community's future, is it really unreasonable to spend 15 minutes seeing whether a platform could reduce risk, eliminate guesswork, and simplify compliance? Not to mention save you thousands of dollars? Solume helps Nevada communities move from static reserve studies, those PDFs that are sitting on your computer hard drive or somebody's desk somewhere, to a living financial plan that evolves with the community. Schedule a 15-minute call to hear if Solume is a good fit for your community by visiting solume.com, and hit the like and subscribe button if you found this video helpful.